Imagine you're walking down a completely ordinary street on a completely ordinary Tuesday.
Just a normal day.
Right, exactly. You're just lost in thought. Maybe you're thinking about an upcoming meeting or, what you're going to make for dinner. And then out of nowhere, a car swerves.
Oh, wow.
It jumps the curb, and it just rushes past you, missing your body by mere inches.
And it all happens in a fraction of a second.
Right. I mean, before your conscious brain even registers the color of the car, before you can even form the specific thought like, I am in danger, your body reacts.
Your biology just completely takes over.
Exactly. Your breath stops. And it feels quite literally like your chest just exploded.
Oh.
Your limbs feel strangely hollow or maybe vibrating. And why does it feel exactly like that?
That's the real question, isn't it?
Yeah. Why do we experience pure terror, not just as an abstract thought, but as this violent physical force moving inside our own anatomy?
Because in that silent space before logic returns, fear isn't an idea. It is pure biology.
Right.
It's a sudden displacement of your center of gravity. You feel your own organs behaving in ways they normally just don't, which is exactly why the language we use to describe panic is often incredibly visceral.
Welcome to today's deep dive. We have a really fascinating stack of materials in front of us today.
We really do.
It's specifically an idioms atlas created by Omer Manas, and it compares Turkish, English, and Lithuanian expressions for fear and shock, alongside this multilingual production guide that visually maps these metaphors right onto the human body.
Which is such a brilliant way to look at language.
It really is. So our mission for this deep dive is to explore how different cultures conceptualize sudden panic. We're going to uncover the psychological logic, the biology, and the universal human truth behind these bodily metaphors.
And I think it's important to note right up front that these idioms, they aren't just quirky language trivia.
No, definitely not.
The texts describe them as compressed cultural memories. I just love that phrase. They function as architectural blueprints for human panic, revealing how generations of people have, processed the overwhelming physical sensation of terror.
Okay, let's unpack this. And I think we should start right at the absolute epicenter of the human fear response, which is the heart.
That makes perfect sense.
Because across so many cultures, the heart is where panic originates. If we look at the Turkish expressions for sudden, intense alarm, we find phrases like yüreği ağzına gelmek or Kalbi ağzına gelmek.
Right.
And the literal translation there is one's heart comes to the mouth.
Which is so vivid, and if you look at the English equivalent, the structural mapping is nearly identical. You'll hear things like, one's heart jumps into one's mouth, or your heart is in your throat.
It's a completely vertical sensation. It reminds me of that split-second drop on a roller coaster.
Oh, that's a great comparison.
Right. Like the cart goes down, but your stomach and your chest feel like they are being violently shoved up into your throat.
Yeah.
Your body is physically bracing for impact,
Right.
and all the pressure is just moving upward.
Yes, exactly. Both the Turkish and English languages map sudden fear as this upward trajectory. It's an immense rising pressure.
Yeah.
And the production guide we are analyzing actually has a whole section exploring the logic behind this. In Turkish, the foundational concept is that emotions are deeply internal.
They're kept hidden away.
Right, they are housed safely in the chest. But sudden, extreme fear creates this massive upward pressure. It pushes the life force up, almost as if it's, trying to escape the physical boundaries of the body.
And the English text notes that the word jumping reflects the involuntary nature of the shock response. I mean, you don't ask your heart to move.
No, it just jumps.
Panic is framed as a force that completely defies gravity, surging upward. But I guess my question is this just a poetic flair, or is there an actual biological reason we feel an upward surge?
Oh, it is entirely biological. The metaphor perfectly mirrors the physiological sensation of a massive adrenaline dump.
Okay, so what's actually happening in the body?
Well, when you perceive a sudden threat, your sympathetic nervous system kicks in instantly. It just floods your bloodstream with adrenaline and noradrenaline.
Right.
And this causes your heart rate to accelerate wildly because your body is basically preparing to pump oxygen to your muscles so you can run or fight.
So the heart is just working in absolute overdrive.
Exactly. And you feel that sudden, intense pounding most acutely in your chest and your neck.
Ah, the neck.
Yeah, your carotid arteries, which run right up the sides of your throat, they expand with the increased blood flow. So you literally feel a vibrating, bounding pulse at the base of your throat.
Wow. So the heart feels like it is left the chest cavity and traveled upward because the sensation of the pulse in your neck suddenly becomes like the loudest thing in your body.
You nailed it. That's exactly it.
So if sudden fear is universally this upward surge, pushing everything up into the throat, it makes complete biological sense why multiple cultures would map it that way.
Well, actually, and this is the fascinating part, it's not universal.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and that is what is so revealing about this atlas. Let's look at the Lithuanian translation for sudden paralyzing fear.
Okay, let's see here. In Lithuanian, the expression is "Hirdis atsitura kulnuse." That translates to "the heart ended up in the heels."
Right.
Or, alternatively, "Hirdis nusirito akulus," meaning the heart rolled down to the heels.
So we are dealing with the exact same organ, right?
Yeah.
And the exact same human emotion of sudden terror.
Yeah.
But the cultural map dictates a completely inverted bodily movement.
The heart ended up in the heels. I mean, that is a total 180-degree shift.
There really is.
So if the English heart jumps up to the throat
Yeah.
and the Lithuanian heart drops down to the floor, does that mean panic is basically just a sense of total bodily displacement, like your vital organs are suddenly in the wrong place?
Yes, absolutely. Fear fundamentally displaces us. The core truth hiding inside these contrasting metaphors is that sudden terror makes us feel like our vital center has just abandoned its proper safe location.
But wait, if the upward jump is based on the biology of a rising heart rate and carotid artery pressure, like we just talked about,
Yeah.
what is the biological basis for the heart dropping to the heels? Is there an actual physiological reason someone would feel a downward plunge?
There absolutely is.
Really?
Yeah, so while your heart rate goes up, your circulatory system is doing something very specific during a panic response. To prepare you for a fight or flight scenario, your body aggressively redirects blood flow.
Okay.
It constricts the blood vessels in your skin and your digestive tract, which, by the way, is why people go pale when they are frightened.
Well, that makes so much sense.
Right, and it rushes that blood to your major muscle groups, particularly your legs.
To prepare you to sprint away from the danger.
Exactly. And that sudden draining of blood from your surface vessels and your stomach, it creates a distinct physical sensation of falling or dropping inside the body.
Wow.
You feel hollowed out. Your center of gravity, your anchor, feels like it has completely fallen away.
So when you were truly terrified, you don't feel solid. You feel emptied out with all your energy just rushing downward to your extremities.
And the grammar of the Lithuanian phrase captures that vulnerability perfectly.
How so?
Well, the word atsidūra means it ended up or found itself in the heels. It implies a total loss of agency.
Like it wasn't your choice.
Right, you didn't move your heart. The bottom simply fell out, and your courage slipped away to the lowest possible point in your body.
Man, that's incredibly evocative. But, let's follow that upward trajectory again, back to traditional English metaphors where the heart ends up in the mouth.
Sure.
Because here's where it gets really interesting. When we zero in on the mouth and the throat themselves. Why do these specific anatomical spaces become the ultimate battlegrounds for anxiety and shock?
Well, think about what the mouth represents. It is our primary tool for connection.
Right, communication.
Exactly. It is the doorway to the outside world. It's how we communicate, how we negotiate, and how we exert influence over our environment. Language is our primary mechanism of control.
But when extreme shock hits, that control just shatters.
It does.
The atlas highlights this Turkish idiom for being completely speechless with shock. It's kus dilini yutmak.
Yeah.
And it translates literally to swallowing one's uvula.
Which is such an intense image, especially compared to the English phrase, which is just, to be speechless, or the Lithuanian equivalent, netekti, meaning to lose one's speech or voice.
Yeah.
The Turkish idiom is just incredibly violent.
It is. But, is swallowing your uvula actually a metaphor for a real biological sensation? Or is it just kind of an ancient misunderstanding of anatomy? Because obviously you can't swallow your own uvula. It's attached.
No, you can't swallow it. But the feeling that something is physically blocking your airway during a moment of terror is very, very real.
Oh.
Medically, it's related to something called the globus sensation.
A globus sensation.
Yeah. When the sympathetic nervous system activates, it restricts non-essential muscular functions. It halts the production of saliva, leaving your mouth instantly dry.
Oh, like when you're super nervous before a speech.
Exactly like that. And at the exact same time, the cricopharyngeal muscle, which is a ring of muscle at the top of your esophagus, it can spasm or tighten as your body attempts to widen your airway to take in more oxygen.
So your throat literally tightens and dries out at the exact same moment.
Yes. And that combination creates the physical illusion of a lump in your throat, or the sensation that your own anatomy has swollen or sort of collapsed backward.
Wow.
It turns a psychological state, being too shocked to speak, into a literal physical choking hazard.
It really reminds me of a computer processor freezing when you open too many heavy applications at once.
Oh, that's a perfect analogy.
Like the system just overloads and crashes because it can't handle the inputs.
And just like a computer, the body has a safe mode. During a massive shock, the brain's threat detection center, the amygdala, effectively hijacks the whole system. It pulls processing power away from the higher cognitive functions, like the frontal lobe and Broca's area, which controls language production.
Oh, I see.
And it dumps all its resources into basic survival and motor functions.
So emotion arrives before language can.
Beautifully put.
In that silent second after a shock,
Uh,
the body is so flooded with the adrenaline of pure survival that it literally shuts down the luxury of forming words.
the mouth basically transforms from an instrument of connection into a closed door.
Yeah.
Language requires syntax, logic, and fine motor control of the vocal cords and breath. Shock just obliterates all of those things. The body recognizes that in a moment of extreme, immediate danger, talking is useless.
Surviving is all that matters.
Precisely, so it cuts the power to the language centers. Swallowing your uvula or having your heart in your mouth means the physical pathway for speech is completely choked by raw emotion.
But, and this is what I keep getting stuck on, if your heart is pounding in your throat or dropping to your heels and your ability to speak is entirely shut down, what happens to the rest of the body?
That's the next piece of the puzzle.
Because that intense internal chaos usually results in something completely counterintuitive on the outside. You do absolutely nothing. The loss of speech is really just the first system failure.
That's exactly right. The freezing of language in the mouth is immediately followed by the freezing of the entire human body.
The atlas actually gives us the expressions for this physical paralysis in the face of terror.
Let's hear them.
In Turkish, it is donıp kalmak, which means to freeze and remain. In English, we just say to freeze up. And in Lithuanian, it is sustingti iš netikukmo, meaning to stiffen from surprise.
It's fascinating, right? The heart might move up or down depending on your cultural language map. But when it comes to the ultimate profound physical reaction to shock, all three cultures agree completely.
They really do.
The body turns to ice, it stiffens, it remains.
The text uses this really cinematic scenario to illustrate this stillness. Imagine walking into a room expecting a normal, boring meeting.
Okay.
You open the door, and sitting at the table is someone you thought you would never ever see again. Someone whose presence completely shatters your current reality.
Oh, that visceral shock.
Yeah. And you don't run away. You don't scream for help. You just stop.
You stop. And it's so important to understand that this stopping is not a passive failure of the body.
Right.
The production guide actually notes, and I'm quoting here, this idiom captures the body's first defense against the unexpected stillness. Freezing is an incredibly active, highly energized state. It is a primal survival instinct.
We always hear about the fight or flight response, but there is the third F, the freeze.
And the freeze almost always comes first.
Really?
Oh, yeah. When you are hit with an overwhelming amount of unexpected data, like a car suddenly swerving on the street, or a person you thought was gone sitting in a room, your brain needs a fraction of a second to process the threat.
Okay, that makes sense.
The donut kalmak, the stiffening from surprise, is the mind basically attempting to pause time.
Ah. So the body acts almost like a sensor array. It stops making sound and it stops making movement so it can just gather as much information as possible.
Precisely. Evolutionarily, freezing makes you a smaller, less noticeable target for predators.
Right, the T-Rex logic.
Exactly. But cognitively, it allows your brain to assess the danger. The motor cortex is temporarily overridden while the visual and auditory systems pull in data to decide whether fighting or fleeing is the right move.
Wow.
The body literally holds its breath, waiting for the mind to catch up to reality.
It's wild because we use these phrases casually every day, like, I froze up, my heart was in my throat, my heart sank. We say them without realizing we're describing ancient primal biology.
We really are.
We're describing the exact architecture of human vulnerability.
Because underneath it all, we are all driving the same physiological vehicle, even if our different cultures use slightly different words to describe what the dashboard is telling us.
That is a brilliant way to put it. And, well, that brings us to the end of our exploration today.
It's been a journey.
It really has.
Hmm.
We've seen how the human body acts as a canvas for our most sudden terrors. We explored how the surge of adrenaline creates the sensation of a heart-defying gravity and leaping into the throat.
Right.
We looked at how blood rushing to our legs makes us feel like our courage has plummeted to our heels. And we examined the profound neurobiology of that silent stillness, the freezing up that protects us when words and actions utterly fail.
It's a lot to process. But there is a lingering question here, one that kind of bridges the gap between the language we speak and the biology we experience.
What was that?
Well, does the metaphor you grew up with actually change your physical sensation of fear?
Oh, wow.
Think about it. If you are raised from childhood to believe that panic means your heart drops to your feet, do you actually feel a downward pull in your body during a crisis?
That is a wild thought.
And does someone else, raised in a culture that speaks of the heart rising, do they feel a rising tension? Like, does our vocabulary simply describe our biology, or does it actively program how we feel our own internal organs reacting?
Are we feeling what we naturally feel, or are we feeling what we've been taught to feel by the language we speak? That is, man, that's heavy.
Something to think about.
Definitely. The next time a car swerves a little too close or a sudden noise startles you, take a second if you can, obviously, to notice where your body goes. Does it jump up or does it drop down? I'll leave you to chew on that. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive, and we'll see you next time.